Welcome to Coffee Talk with Liquidshano 1973, an inspirational podcast about the ups and downs of life and everything in between. Here's your host, Shane Lakita.
Hey guys, welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Coffee Talk with Liquidshano. I am your host, Shane Lakita, and man, I'll tell you, these podcasts and these moments where we are in the middle of just trying to be able to make things happen and be able to move things forward are super important for me to know that I can connect with you, to be able to have conversations, to be able to live in a space where we're all encouraging each other and pushing things forward and doing the things that are necessary for us to achieve the goals that we want to achieve and do the things that we want to do. I mean, I know what the landscape looks like. I know that the landscape is we're watching the news and you're on social media and you're on all these different avenues and you're having all these political debates and all these other things that are going on. To be honest with you, it's nasty. It's nasty. It's gross. It's dark. It's down. It's all, I mean, like literally everywhere you go, you feel like we're taking 15 steps backwards to be able to, bring political agendas and all this other stuff going on. I get it. I get all that stuff. And not that I ever try to ignore it and try to just be able to, look the other direction or the other way from it. But a lot of times that's necessary for me to be able to continue to move forward and be able to handle some of the stuff that's going on in my life and stuff that's going on and the things that I'm trying to work on. But I can't be somebody that's going to sit back and not be cognizant of the fact that people are going through a lot of stuff right now. Identity crisis, things that we're trying to be able to move forward. And when we try to be able to live in this space of living in a space where kindness is the key, that's like non-existent anymore. It's like gone. It's like away from our vocabulary. Like we've lost sight of being kind to each other in society. We've lost sight of loving each other and caring for each other because we are so divided and so right down the middle of all this different stuff. And there's anger on both sides of every equation and everything. And people are swinging for the fences when it comes to it. I look at the fact that last episode of the podcast, I talked a lot about my son and I talked a lot about mental health and I talked a lot about those kind of things. And we're going to touch on a couple things here on this podcast because I feel like it's been a minute since I've rapped with you guys and sat down and talked to you. But, at the end of the day, I look at the way the kids are nowadays. I look at the way that the kids are vicious and they're mean and they're not nice to each other. And social media is a cesspool for them to be able to come after each other and say what they want to say and be keyboard warriors and then record everything. And then if you respond or you retaliate, they use that against you and then they call you names, all this different stuff. And so those kids that are out there that are being vicious and mean and rude and all over social media and brave behind those keyboards to know that they're going to say what they want to say and how they want to say it and do what they want to do literally stems from where we are as a society and where we are as families, right? And to be honest with you, I feel like it's a recipe for disaster. And here we are in this dynamic where if our kids are doing it, the parents are doing it. And if the parents are doing it, society's doing it. And if society's doing it, we're doomed. Unless we can finally get some injection of some people that actually make a difference in the world and be kind to each other and continue to go forward and move forward without having people be in your pockets, whether you're a politician or whatever else, and be able to pay you whatever side of the aisle that you fall on and be sensible and be kind and love humans for who they are and all those things. Literally, at the end of the day, we're all just trying to grind and be able to move things forward. All of us, no matter what side of the aisle you're on, you want to be a good person. You want to be somebody that's remembered for good things, whether your idea of what those good things are might be different than another person. But we all have similar goals, all of us, no matter what your viewpoint, no matter what your race or creed or whatever it is. But I feel as if we're stepping backwards and going the wrong direction when it comes to race, when it comes to equality, when it comes to human race, and it comes to respecting other individuals, when it comes to kindness and love and adoration and things like lifting people up and encouraging them, no matter what their viewpoints are and what they're doing. I felt as if we started to, as a society, start to move forward. And then over the last, 3 years, 4 years, we've literally gone down this rabbit hole of anger and infestation of just gross stuff going on. So I try to park in the space of being a positive influence and continuing to move forward. A positive realist is something that you always hear me say, where I'm a positive individual, and I always try to be able to look at the brighter side of things to be able to keep things moving forward. But I'm also a realist to know that life does suck sometimes. And we suck as a society sometimes. And I'm very aware and very cognizant of who's around me and what we're talking about and those kind of things. I just try to be a person that brings a level of a sense of normalcy or a sense of communication, being open to each other, having conversations to listen, learning from each other, and those kind of things are what I try to promote and continue to move forward. And this podcast helps me do that. This podcast helps me connect with all kinds of people of all different walks of life. I mean, just my family alone, if you look at my family, we're all walks of different Republicans, Democrats, all kinds of stuff going on. We got middle of the roaders. We got really, really staunch political party people, really, really religious individuals, all these different things that we got going on. But I still respect each and every person in my family. And I still want to have conversations with them to talk to them about what I have to. I'll speak my mind and I'll speak my opinion about the fact of this is where I'm at and this is how I feel about it, because I'm a positive realist. I'm not somebody that's just kumbaya, rainbows and unicorns all the time. But I am a person that will listen to your point of view and will be able to hear you. Whether I agree with you or not is besides the point. I still respect you. You're still a human being. That's part of it. That's where we need to get to. So, after I recorded that podcast last week or 2 weeks ago, and I had the conversation around mental health, and I've been in many different lives and different things on social media around mental health. It's literally a pandemic right now. Outside of the disease that's running through the whole entire world and all the different things that we have, the issue of mental health is a pandemic. It's literally something that has taken down society as we are all around us. We have every different walk of life and different people that we need to make sure that we're staying on top of and being somebody that's fruitful or somebody that is helpful to individuals, whether they're on frontline workers, whether they are first responders, whether they are students, whether they're teachers, whatever it is. Everybody has gone through some crap over the last couple of years. And whether you think you got it all on lockdown and you're ready to go, you probably don't. And you haven't really addressed some of the issues of what's going on. Our kids these days, the reason they're so mean and so vicious and so just laden with all these different things that they can do, or things that they are doing, where they're bullying and they're spreading false information and they're name calling and they're memeing each other and they're doing whatever, is all based on the fact that this is their form of communication. This is who they are. This is where they go. So we need to get back to the place of actually being a society that's built around how do we use things for good? How do we use social media for good? How do we use therapy and counseling and those kind of things for good? Why is it that now people want to go to get therapy? They want to go get some help because they know that there's something wrong and they know they're not feeling good and they're not feeling up to par. But then we have this mantra and this stigma around mental health. And we got all these people that look at maybe somebody that is actually going to get some help or on medication for anxiety or depression. And then you got the old schoolers that are like, well, just suck it up, man. Like, this is what we did back in the day. So let's just keep on moving forward. Or you got the new generation that's like, give me every medicine in the book, right? So there's a balance in the fact of it doesn't matter where you're going and how you're doing it. Go get the help that you need to be able to continue to move forward. You have to find a resource or some sort of support that's going to help you, whether it's from your family, whether it's through medicinal therapy or psychologist or psychiatrist or whatever it is, to continue to move forward, have somebody to talk to, and continue to have the conversations that are necessary for us to get to a place where we have to. I know that's a soapbox moment, but it's so true. Reach out to people, find out how they're doing truly, not just the looking at the news and political landscape and religious landscape and all that stuff, how about just call somebody up to tell them I love you and I just wanted to let you know that. There's no ulterior motives to this. It's just being kind. I want you to know that I have an ear for you if you want to talk about stuff. If you're stressed out or you're in the mode of just like feeling like the world is crumbling all around you, how good is it to hear from somebody else to say, I'm here for you if you need me. I'm right in your corner. I'm here to help you, right? So we need to practice that more often. Show kindness. Reach out to somebody. Like put a lifeline out for them. Help them feel like they matter. Help them feel like the world is not crumbling all around them. They're not all alone, and they literally have to fight this battle every single day, one step at a time, each step of the way on their own, trying to be able to continue to move forward. Let them know they're not alone. Just like I'm going to let you know you're not alone. All of us we're not alone. We may feel like we are. We may close ourselves off from feeling weak or looking weak whenever we are trying to admit to the fact that we're having some issues or we have some mental health issues or whatever, where the stigma was, oh my God, you're a crazy person. You're a person that's lost your mind or whatever else. No, you're just a human being. And there's a lot of stuff that goes on all around us, whether it's with stress, with finances, with family, with love, with relationships, with all these different things. You got so much stuff going on. It's okay to be vulnerable, and it's okay to admit the fact that you can't handle it and you need some help. So go get the help that you need and do what you have to do. Now, with that being said, here's what this podcast is all about. I posted something this morning. It was an audio file, and I did it on Instagram, on TikTok, and on No Finish Line Nation. And all three of these have caught some really good responses from people. And what the speaker was saying, so it's basically a video of me with a cup of coffee just reflecting in the morning. And I heard this speech that this guy had made. It was in an interview, and I loved what he had said. And I can't speak to it verbatim, but I'm going to tell you exactly what the premise of it was, or what the concept of it was. What he was saying is that struggle is looked at by a lot of people as being something bad. Struggle is looked at by a lot of people of, why do I have to struggle so much, when other people are so much better off than me? Why do I have to struggle so much when I'm a good person and I don't deserve to struggle as much as I do, whether it's financially or emotionally or whatever else? And the struggle is something that people try to avoid because they literally don't want to go through the struggle, right? They don't want to go through the pain and suffering that comes with struggling. And so the speaker basically said, I find the struggle to be something good. I find it something to be beneficial to us as humans, as people, as beings, because when you struggle, ego runs away from struggle. So if you've got an ego that's the size of Alaska, and you're tough as nails, and you're the bee's knees, and you can handle anything, and you're good to go, and you're a helicopter mom or dad, and you're whatever it is, and you've got everything under control and ready to go, and that ego's kicking in. But when you struggle, what happens to the ego is the ego runs the other direction, because now we're looking at the fact that you're weak, or you're a person that is really going through some stuff right now, and the ego steps back, and maybe we get quiet and we shut down and we don't talk about stuff, and then we just hide all our feelings and we hide where we're at. And then, to be quite honest with you, just like we opened up with this podcast, people go down the road of very, very drastic decisions of suicide or chemical dependency or alcohol or drugs or whatever else to be able to cope with the different things that they've got. And they're not actually helping or healing the situation that's actually at hand, or trying to be able to work on the situation. So the struggle, he said, is a good thing. The struggle prepares us. It grooms us for whenever something good is going to happen down the road. The struggle is the time where we learn the most about ourselves, about our family, about our environments, about society, about all that stuff. So in the grand scheme of things, when I opened up with the fact that everything sucks all around us and we're just kind of like struggling to be able to move things forward, and I feel like we're sliding backwards to racist days and all this other stuff that we got going on, this struggle that we're going through right now hopefully is a moment in time that we can look at to say we will learn from this, and we will continue to push forward, and we will be better for it, right? Just like you as a person. If you're struggling right now about something in your life, and you're struggling about something that's going on, and it feels like the walls are crumbling in, and the world's crumbling all around you, and the struggle is real, Whether it's with weight loss, whether it's with jobs, whether it's family, love, whatever it is that you're going through, your struggle is the most important struggle that you're going through right now. Here's the key. When the speaker said, I find the struggle to be something of strength. I find the struggle is something that is going to prepare me for the good things that are going to come down the road. I find the struggle is a necessity to toughen us up and be able to build up some of those skill sets that we need. Some of almost like the street smarts versus the school smarts, right? The book smarts. The street smarts are when we go through the struggle, how do we cope? Where are we at? What kind of resources do we use? What kind of conversations are we having? What kind of damage do we do? What kind of things are we being able to move forward with? The actual boots to the ground work that you have to put in when you're in the middle of a struggle. That's street smarts. That's where you find who you truly are, and if you are actually using the resources that you have to use to be able to continue to move forward. Those are important things. Now, the book smarts, they're important, don't get me wrong, because you kind of know what you need to do. If you're a book smart person, you're a person that studies about psychology or studies about whatever or whatever it is. The book smart side of it is important, but the street smart side of it is the part that I really want to talk about, because this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where you use resources. This is where you learn from your mistakes. This is where you learn from others' mistakes. This is where you share your stories with each other. And this is where the boots hit the ground and the work begins for you to be able to set yourself up for whatever success is that's going to come down the road. I mean, do you believe what he said? The speaker said that the struggle that you go through is a positive thing. It's only grooming you and preparing you for what good things are to come for you, well, how you'll learn, how you'll cope with them, or even more importantly, how you will address it the next time that the struggle appears and shows up. Because the struggle shows up 10 times more than the successes show up. Am I right about that? I mean, don't you feel that way? The negative side of things, the struggles that we go through, the life situations where life throws you curveballs or throws you obstacles or things you have to climb over or things you have to do, when life deals all those things to you, it feels like it's so much more often than when really good things happen to us. But here's the thing. Those really good things that happen to us, when they do happen, feel incredible. They feel amazing because there's no worries when it comes to the really good things that happen to us. There's no angst or anger or animosity or hatred or any of those things, because at that moment in time, you're in the place of receiving fruits of your labor. You're working hard, just like all of us. We're all working hard towards our goals, towards our aspirations, towards achieving great things. All of us are. And the things that we go through every single day, the argument that you get in, or the thing that gets thrown at you, or the obstacle that you have to overcome, or you might get knocked down and fall to the ground and now you're crawling instead of walking, right? And that's even more often than not, that's what happens to a lot of us, because that's what starts to break us. That's where you see a lot of people resort to really drastic measures, because now we're fallen and now we're knocked down and now we don't know how to get back up. And we don't know how to use our resources and how to use the people around us and go to therapy and get the help that we need, or have the conversations, or dig in when it's much easier not to dig in. It's much easier to walk away from a situation and avoid it altogether rather than digging in and doing the work to figure it out. And even if you're doing the work to figure it out and you're digging in hard and you're trying to be able to get to the place where you want to be able to sink your teeth into it and be able to say, I'm good to go. And even if you aren't successful at that moment in time, you're still learning. You're still growing. You're still accomplishing. You're still an amazing human being. Whether you believe it or not, you're a living human being that's trying their best to be a better version of themselves. Isn't that inspirational? But instead, we don't look at it like that. We look at it as somebody that's just struggling, or somebody that's an alcohol dependent, or somebody that's on drugs, or somebody that is homeless, or somebody whatever, less fortunate, or all these situations. Everybody in the world wants to be better. Everybody does. And if you've given up, there's still some light inside of you to know that you want things to be better. You want things to be just better in general. The other night when I was on that live, I was telling you about mental health side of it. I was on a live with a couple veterans, and the veterans were super emotional, and they were talking about a lot of their PTSD, and they were talking a lot about their own mental state of affairs and how they took it out on their loved ones, and, you know, their relationships were broken because of it, and things that they're able to, you know, used to be able to do, can't do now, and where they're at with it. And, you know, they had many thoughts of drastic measures, whether it's taking their own life or running off a road or doing whatever it is. But until they finally went down the road of getting the help that they needed and continued to push forward and found the right mix of where it's at to be able to find the right therapist or get on the right medicine or work towards the right goals or surround yourself with the right people, then they realized life is actually worth living. One day at a time. It's not like a flip of a switch, but it's something that gives them hope and gives them positive motion and movement towards becoming something that they really want to truly become, or a person that they want to be, or an example that they want to set for other individuals that are going through the same things, whether it's other veterans or other people with PTSD or mental health issues. But as a society, we label these individuals as being less than. Right? We label these individuals as being less than because they have issues. They're crazy. They're psychotic. They're bipolar. They're out there or whatever else. And if they don't go get the help that they need, then we usually walk away from that situation and just let it go. How many times have you walked down the road of a major city or anything like that, or even some of your rural communities, and you see a homeless person, and the homeless person is talking to no one, but they're out there talking some really crazy stuff that's out there, and we just walk and we run the other direction? And everybody just avoids the situation because they don't want to be confronted with anything that's crazy or out of the norm, or that person is not right, or anything like that. Instead of giving them help or offering them the help that they need, or being able to bring them somewhere to be able to start to have some therapist or a home or a group or anything like that to be able to continue moving forward. But instead, we rather look down on them and we say, oh, you know what? I'm not dealing with that. That's crazy, man. That person is wild. And they went the other direction. For my own safety, I'm going to run the other way. Now, I get it. I get all of that. But at the end of the day, this is the way society looks at mental health. It looks at the fact that you're less than, or you're crazy, or you're suicidal, or those kind of things. And maybe some of those are true. But at the end of the day, the person that's going through that knows where they're at for the most part. And they know that either they need help, or they also know that this might be their only normal that they've ever been accustomed to, and they've never been offered the help. They've never been brought down the road of being able to afford the help, or to be able to go down the road of actually having people that care for them or love them or appreciate them. How many veterans do we have that come back from war situations in wartime that basically are now homeless on the side of the street because they didn't have anybody there to be able to lift them up as they got out of the military? When you're in the military, you're under a bubble, right? You're protected. You've got paychecks, you've got benefits, you got medical, you got dental, you got all this different stuff. The second that you get out of the military, you serve your time and then you go. The second that you get out, guess what happens? Now you're on your own, pal. And now you got to figure it out. And now you got to be able to figure out how the workforce works. And now you got to figure out how to work in a regular job of clocking your time and doing a good job, and then being around others that aren't doing that great of a job, but there's no accountability. So now you got to struggle through that part of it. And then you also got to struggle through all the demons that you have that are going on if you're a military person that was on the front lines. The PTSD, the gunfire, the camaraderie with the other people that you were there. Like, it's the mind is a crazy place. Right? So when this individual says that the struggle is something that's good, and the struggle is something that you need in your life to give you perspective, I agree with this 100%. The stuff that I'm going through right now, I wouldn't wish on the faint of heart. Right? Anybody else that's out there, because we're dealing with a lot of stuff, right? You want to be able to have a great relationship with your wife. You also want to be able to be a good dad and a good husband and be supportive. But then you're working with an individual that may not necessarily want that at this moment in time, but they're also very in a place where they need it. They need it as a father. They need it as a brother, as a dad, or whatever else. And you're trying to be able to work through all the stuff you have to work through, and all the stuff that you're going through is only going to prepare us for whatever's going to happen down the road. And I'm glad that we're able to do it right now with my son, who's 16, while he's in the house with us, right? While he's here and while he's open enough to have the conversations and be able to dig into stuff, and him to have the comfort level of coming to us about different stuff. But it's not easy conversations. It's not like we're going through it day by day, because I know that the conversation I may have today may be totally different than the conversation I have tomorrow. But here's the thing, just like that individual said on that speech, the struggle that I'm going through right now is only preparing me for great things to happen down the road. What that thing is, I'm not really sure, but I'm going to keep working, and I'm going to keep grinding, and I'm going to keep on showing love, and I'm going to keep on caring, and I'm going to keep on lifting and encouraging and continuing to move down the road of being a good individual and a positive source of inspiration, and continue to grind it out and do the things that I have to do, knowing that I'm going through a lot, and the things that I'm doing right now is going to help me learn. Maybe there'll be one person that I meet down the road that's going through the same exact thing in the early stages of family therapy and family, all this different stuff. And I might be that resource of information for them to be able to help them through whatever time that they need to be helped through and be able to continue to move forward. But I have to lean on that to know that there's something good coming down the road during really dark times. If you're going through dark times and you're going through whatever the muck and the mire that you're trying to trod through, and you're trying to be able to get through like quicksand and be able to continue to move things forward, if you're going through those things, here's a couple things. One, think about getting help. Think about calling a therapist, call your practitioner, call them to say, I need some help. I'm breaking apart at the seams. I can't handle it. I'm really having a hard time being able to justify things or process things in my head or do things as I move forward. So I think I need a referral to be able to move things forward. If you have a practitioner, if you don't, there's many other different resources around the state for mental health and psychologists, and some are even issued to for those less fortunate with income and things like that. So really look into some of your resources. Secondly, just like we talked about with that little speech that I posted earlier today, the things that you go through now are only preparing you for whatever's good to come in the future. And there's a couple trains of thought with that, right? So one of the things that that's preparing you for is for you to be ready for it to come again, right? That's the big thing for me. I know that if I learn from my mistakes, or I learn from the situations, or I learn from whatever's going on, and I actually reflect on how I responded, how I reacted, how I move things forward, and all those things, and I can learn from that and continue to move forward. So the next time when old, ugly, whatever situation is coming around me, I know that this is the way I did it last time and it helped me. So I have now knowledge and resources to be able to move it forward. Right. But the other thing about it is that when, like I opened up with this podcast, when good things do finally happen, how good do they truly feel after you've been through the shit that you've been through? The stuff that you have to grind through, all the things that you're trying to be able to move forward with, all the things you're trying to be able to accomplish and be great with, and all those things. And it's literally smacking you in the face every corner, and you feel like you're on your knees and you're just trying to be able to move forward. And why does all this stuff happen to me? But instead of using it as a sense of I'm going to grow from this, but now it just feels like you're just weak and you're falling apart, right? But when the good things finally do happen, when things finally do go your way in certain aspects of life, which sometimes can be rare, and I understand that, but when the things finally do go well, and you're in a place where you feel like you can do the things you want to do, and you feel like you're in a good spot, maybe relationship's good, maybe your marriage is good, maybe your kid kind of comes out of that teenage adolescent phase and now starts to become an adult that actually appreciates you as a resource and all those things. As you move forward and you get to the place where you have to be, that you feel good about the situation, it's going to feel that much better if you've been through a lot to get there. You've earned it. You've earned your stripes. You've earned all the things you're going through right now are literally badge of honors. everything is a badge of honor. You literally go through the things you have to go through. So that way you could put that badge on your arm and say, I've been through that. I know what that looks like. I know how that feels. And I've been there. And I know that. Why do you think most successful people in the world, whether it's through public speaking or through anything that are there, a lot of the people that we look up to, like Oprah or Tony Robbins or whoever else that people might look to, Gary Vee or whoever else that you might look to be able to say, oh, you know what? This person's been through a lot in their life, so I can relate. They can relate to me. I can relate to them. Listen, Oprah's the richest woman in the whole entire world and all of the entertainment industry and whatever else, literally the richest woman in the whole entire world. But you know what? People still think that she's approachable because she's been through a lot. Her weight loss up and down, not getting married, understanding what it is to be a business professional, but also being a mogul, but also trying to be able to continue to move forward just to love life and be happy. Right. And so we can relate to those things. So you can too. And all the things that you've gone through give you the ability to now know that you're a subject matter expert and you can wear that badge of honor with pride because you've earned it. You busted your ass doing the things that you have to do, going through the things that you have to go through to be proud of who you are at this moment in time, even if you're not where you want to be. Be proud of going through it and fighting like hell to continue to push forward, and then share your story with others. Share your story with other people that you never know might need to hear exactly what you have to say. It's one of the reasons why I hop on this podcast. Not to say that I'm a subject matter expert, but I am, because I've been through it. I get it. When this podcast first started, it was all about weight loss because I was losing weight and it was all the struggles that I was going through. And then it became more about mind over matter because that's what I was going through, mind over matter. And then pandemics and then loss of job and all this other stuff that happens. And it's all the things that I've gone through over the past year and a half are literally relatable to so many people that are out there that listen to this and go, wow, you know what? He gets it. I understand what he's going through and he understands what I'm going through. And it matters. You matter. We matter. So again, if you're feeling down and you're in the middle of the muck and you're in the middle of just a really dark place, know one of two things. One, you're only preparing yourself for the great things that are going to come your way down the road. And two, get some help. Do what you have to do. If you're having thoughts of suicide or you're having thoughts of, those really dark thoughts, there is a suicide hotline you can reach out to. There are other people locally that you can actually reach out to, homes in different places that you can actually go to. And don't think of it as a sign of weakness. Think of it as something that you're just trying to be able to get yourself right in your mind to continue to move forward. There are many other people that are in the same shoes that you're in, and they've been through it, and they get it, and they've moved on, and they've been able to live life fully based on the fact that they also had those thoughts at one time, or they still do, and they continue to get help, and they continue to move forward. It's going to be okay. Just keep your head up, be patient with it, and we'll all get through this together, okay? Have a great day, everybody. Much love to all of you.
Thank you for listening to today's podcast. Please do us a favor and leave feedback and a 5-star rating on whatever platform that you use.